What if I told you that a single tiny particle, smaller than anything you can imagine, somehow knows when you are watching it? Not metaphorically, not as a joke. This is one of the most tested, most repeated results in the history of science, and even the smartest physicists alive today cannot fully explain it. Picture firing bullets at a steel wall that has two narrow openings cut into it. Most bullets slam into the wall, but the ones that pass through either opening strike a second wall behind it. Mark every hole on that back wall, and you get exactly what common sense says you should get. Two clusters of holes, one behind each opening. Now swap the bullets for electrons, some of the smallest building blocks of matter that exist. Fire them at the same kind of wall, and check the pattern they leave behind. Instead of two neat clusters, you get something that looks like a zebra pattern, a whole series of bands. That alone should stop you in your tracks, but it gets weirder. Set up a tiny sensor beside the openings just to peek at which one each electron actually goes through, and the zebra stripes vanish. The pattern snaps right back to two simple clusters, exactly like the bullets. It is as though the electron senses it is being watched and changes how it behaves because of it. Scientists first assumed the sensor itself must be physically bumping the electrons off course. That would be a tidy, comfortable explanation. Except later experiments, ones so carefully designed that no physical nudge was even possible, destroyed that explanation completely. Some of these experiments even hint that events happening later in time might reach backward to affect events that already happened, as if the future were somehow allowed to edit the past. By the final experiment in this video, you may find yourself genuinely questioning what the word reality even means, and whether the universe is as solid and fixed as it feels. There are no complicated equations here, no jargon, just plain explanations of some of the strangest experiments ever run, walking you step by step through why the world of tiny particles refuses to play by the rules we take for granted every day. And everything we use today, your phone, your laptop, the internet itself, quietly depends on the very same strangeness we are about to explore. So maybe it is worth understanding it properly, instead of just accepting it as background magic. Long before anyone had heard the word quantum, scientists were trying to answer one deceptively simple question. What exactly is light made of? Isaac Newton weighed in during the 1670s with what became known as the corpuscular theory, the idea that light is a stream of tiny particles shooting through space. It comfortably explained reflection off a mirror and the bending of light through a prism. Around the same era, a Dutch physicist named Christian Huygens proposed something almost opposite, that light was a wave, rippling outward the way water does. Huygens could explain reflection and bending just as well, but Newton's reputation was so towering that his theory buried Huygens's wave idea for over a century. Everything changed in 1801. An English scientist named Thomas Young ran an experiment so simple that a curious teenager could recreate it in their bedroom today, and yet it remains one of the most mind-bending results in physics. It is called the Double Slit Experiment, and most of the confusion in quantum mechanics traces directly back to this one setup. Take an opaque card and cut two extremely thin slits close together. Then shine a laser so the beam covers both slits at once. Most of the light gets blocked, but the sliver that squeezes through the openings lands on a screen behind it. Common sense says you should see two bright strips of light there. Instead, you get a whole series of bright and dark bands, almost like a barcode. Young did not have a laser in 1801, but he found another way to produce the same kind of clean, synchronized light, and saw the exact same banded pattern. This is called an interference pattern. There is one blazing bright band dead center, darkness on either side, then another bright band, repeating outward, each one a little dimmer than the last. The puzzle is this: how can light passing through only two slits create so many bands? If light were simply particles, physics says you should only ever get two bands. But a wave can absolutely produce a pattern like this. To understand why, think about ripples on a pond. Drop a stone in and circular ripples spread outward. Now place a barrier with two narrow gaps directly in the path of those ripples. Most of the ripple energy stops at the barrier, but a portion squeezes through each gap, and something remarkable happens. Each gap becomes a brand new source of ripples, spreading outward in fresh semicircles. As these two sets of ripples overlap, their peaks and troughs collide in specific ways. Sometimes a peak lines up with another peak, and the water rises even higher. This is constructive interference. Other times a peak lines up with a trough, and they cancel out completely. This is destructive interference. Track where reinforcement and cancellation land along a distant wall, and you get alternating stripes. Light behaves the same way. The two slits become two fresh sources of light waves, and wherever those waves reinforce each other, you get a bright band. Wherever they cancel, you get darkness. Young's 1801 pattern was rock-solid proof that light travels as a wave, and by the 1860s, James Clerk Maxwell showed mathematically that light is an electromagnetic wave. Case closed, or so everyone thought. Then, around the turn of the 20th century, cracks appeared in the wave picture. Certain phenomena, like the glow given off by heated objects, and something called the photoelectric effect, where light striking a metal surface knocks electrons loose, refused to match what wave theory predicted. In 1901, Max Planck introduced the idea that energy comes in discrete, indivisible chunks he called quanta, quietly opening the door to an entirely new branch of physics. In 1905, Albert Einstein took that idea further, proposing that light itself is made of individual packets of energy, photons. Using this, he perfectly explained the photoelectric effect, work that eventually won him the Nobel Prize. But now there was a contradiction sitting in the middle of physics. The double slit experiment had proven light is a wave. Einstein had just proven light is also a stream of particles. Both could not be true, except somehow they were. This became known as wave-particle duality, light being simultaneously a wave and a particle, depending on how you look at it. In 1924, a French physicist named Louis de Broglie made an even bolder leap. If light could behave like both a wave and a particle, maybe solid matter could too. Maybe electrons and protons carry a hidden wave nature of their own. In 1927, the Davison-Germer experiment confirmed that electrons genuinely display wave-like behavior. But nobody ran a true double-slit test with electrons until 1961. Scientists fired a beam of electrons at a barrier with two slits, expecting them to land in two tidy clusters like bullets. Instead, the photographic plate showed an unmistakable interference pattern. Electrons, real physical matter, were interfering with each other exactly like waves of light. This raised an obvious objection. Interference needs two overlapping waves, so surely pairs of electrons were sneaking through both slits at once and interfering with each other, and that overlap alone was the real source of the pattern. Nothing spookier than that. To test that idea properly, scientists released electrons one at a time, with a deliberate pause between each one, so that only a single electron was ever anywhere near the slits at any given moment, sometimes waiting several seconds between releases just to be absolutely certain there was no chance of two electrons overlapping inside the apparatus. A lone electron can only physically pass through one slit, so there should be no second wave anywhere for it to interfere with, and after enough electrons had built up on the plate, you should end up with two simple clusters again. Nothing more exotic than that. Instead, the interference pattern was still there, fully formed, band for band, even though every single electron had traveled through the apparatus completely and provably alone. So what exactly was each lone electron interfering with? This pushed physicists toward an idea that sounds like science fiction, that a single electron might be passing through both slits at once, interfering with itself. To settle it, researchers placed a small detector beside the slits to record which opening each electron actually used. This became known as the witch path experiment, first carried out properly in the 1980s. Electrons were released one at a time. The detector logged which slit each one used, and after the plate was developed, the interference pattern was gone entirely. In its place sat two plain clusters, exactly what you would expect from particles behaving like bullets. The moment scientists gained knowledge of which slit each electron used, The electrons stopped behaving like waves and started behaving like solid particles again. This is the observer effect, a particle's behavior seemingly depending on whether or not someone checks its path. The test was repeated with different detectors and placements, and the outcome never changed. The natural assumption became that the detector must be physically disturbing the electron in some subtle way. So the next challenge was obvious. Could scientists learn which slit a particle used without physically touching it at all? That question led to quantum entanglement. Two particles can become linked so that measuring a property of one instantly reveals the corresponding property of the other, no matter how far apart they are, almost like twins that always mirror each other. This linking can happen between electrons or between photons. Physicists realized they could exploit entanglement to peek at which slit a particle used, without ever touching the particle that actually mattered. Photons are released one at a time toward a barrier with two slits. Just behind the slits sits a special crystal, and any photon striking it splits into two identical entangled photons. One, the signal photon, continues to the main screen and gets recorded. The other, the idler photon, bounces off a mirror toward a separate detector, A if it came from the first slit, B if it came from the second. Crucially, scientists never touch the signal photon, the one building the actual pattern, only its entangled twin. In theory, the signal photon should stay undisturbed and form a clean interference pattern. But when researchers ran this and analyzed the results, the interference pattern was gone again. Even though the signal photon was never physically touched, it behaved as though it knew its identity had been logged somewhere. Then came a stranger twist. Scientists moved the idler detectors much farther away, physically farther than the signal photon's path to the screen, so the idler photon would not reach its detector until after the signal photon had already struck the screen. At the moment the signal photon landed, its entangled partner had not even been measured yet. Logically, there was no way the signal photon could be influenced by a measurement that had not happened yet, so surely this time the interference pattern would return. This is called a delayed choice setup. But even here, no interference pattern appeared. The outcome matched what would happen later, not what had already happened. Some interpreted this as a hint that a future measurement could reach backward to influence something already locked into the past, an idea called retrocausality. It is a wild suggestion, and plenty of physicists remain unconvinced this particular result proves anything about time running backward. So let us set retrocausality aside as unresolved. What nobody disputes is this. Even when a detector never physically touches the particle that matters, that particle's behavior still shifts the moment identifying information becomes available anywhere in the universe, and entangled particles stay connected in a way that shrugs off both distance and time. Which brings us to the final and most jaw-dropping version of this story, the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment. The setup builds on everything before it, but with one extra twist. This time, the mirrors that redirect idler photons toward detectors A and B are only half silvered, so roughly half the idler photons bounce toward A or B, while the rest pass straight through at random. For the photons that pass through, two more detectors are added, C and D, threaded through an extra arrangement of mirrors so that photons from either slit can end up reaching either one. If an idler photon lands at A, you know for certain it came from the first slit. Same for B and the second slit. But if it lands at C or D, that information is scrambled beyond recovery. You cannot tell which slit it came from. This is why this extra circuit is called the eraser. It deliberately erases the which path information for a portion of the photons. Each signal photon still lands on the main screen as before, while its entangled twin ends up at one of the four detectors. And using precise timing, researchers can later sort the signal photon results based on where each partner landed. Here is the astonishing part. Isolate only the signal photons whose partners landed at A or B, where the which path information was preserved, and you get no interference pattern, just two plain clusters. Isolate only the signal photons whose partners landed at C or D, where that information was permanently scrambled, and the interference pattern reappears in full, crisp, and unmistakable. The exact same batch of signal photons, striking the exact same screen, produces two completely different outcomes, depending purely on whether identifying information exists anywhere else in the universe. Information not even collected until after the signal photon had already landed. It is not really the act of detection that destroys the wave behavior. It is whether the path information continues to exist anywhere for anyone to retrieve. Erase it, and the wave nature comes right back, even after the fact. This is quantum mechanics at its most unsettling. A piece of information tucked away somewhere in the cosmos, seemingly reaching back to decide how something already behaved. Physicists describe this with the language of wave function collapse, the idea that measurement forces a particle to snap out of its fuzzy, spread-out state and settle into one definite outcome. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Nobody actually knows why this collapse happens, or what it really means at a fundamental level. The same goes for entanglement. Nobody can fully explain what invisible thread ties two entangled particles together across distance, and apparently, across time. This is exactly the kind of unresolved weirdness that keeps quantum mechanics endlessly fascinating. What is remarkable is that pioneers like Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg predicted this exact kind of behavior decades before most of these experiments were even technically possible, and many were only carried out long after both men had passed away. Yet their predictions held up every single time. This was the heart of Einstein's famous disagreement with Bohr. Einstein was deeply uncomfortable with a universe behaving this strangely and dismissed entanglement as spooky action at a distance. Yet history has sided with Bohr and Heisenberg. Quantum mechanics remains deeply strange, arguably the strangest thing humans have ever discovered to be objectively true. And yet your phone's processor and the fiber optic cables carrying this very video quietly rely on these same principles working correctly, every second of every day. Maybe it is time we stop treating quantum weirdness as some abstract theory locked in textbooks and start seeing it for what it actually is. A genuine glimpse into how reality works at its deepest level. If this blew your mind even a little, drop a like. Share it with someone who needs their reality questioned today, and subscribe so you never miss the next one.